I believe initiative, being of service, is the first act of leadership. Leadership is not about asking what you can get from the world. It's about making your best skills and your best strengths available to serve the world in a positive way. I also take this opportunity to thank Mr. Kim Solomon and Janice Leong for their tireless work behind the scenes round the year to make this possible. To have people from 80 countries, 1,000+ people, to give them the opportunity to convene and to discuss and to exchange ideas and to share. We're living in the information age, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the age of ideas. You know, a few hundred years ago, capital was money and, you know, manpower and things like that. In the information age, in the age of ideas, capital is ideas. And just the ability to put diverse people together in a room together is a huge, huge opportunity in itself. So once again, I'd like to thank the organizers for putting together this wonderful symposium here and for having me as your keynote speaker. Third time. So my first was in the Philippines. The second was here itself last year. Some young students from China just came up to have a picture with me, and I was kidding with them. I said, you don't even know what if I'm a horrible speaker, right? What are you going to do with the photo then? And, but I have received tremendous love and appreciation from this diverse group year after year, and it's an honor to be here once again among you today. I hope everybody made it safely here to Bangkok, right? You did? You're traveling from all across the world, different corners. I bumped into a young gentleman from Canada who told me he had a 30-hour-long flight. Who's had the longest flight coming here into Bangkok? Raise your hands, please. You believe you have the longest one? Okay, we'll settle with that competition later. But and how many of you first time here in Bangkok? Raise your hands, please. It's the first time. Fantastic. I do hope you get the opportunity to explore this wonderful city and interact with the people here. I believe travel, and raise your hands if you agree with me, travel is one of the best education in itself, yeah? Because you meet people with a different point of view and things are done in a different way. You have a heightened sense of awareness, yes or no? When you're in a new culture, you know, the sights, the sounds, the smells, and I call it developing the traveler's mindset. We're talking about change, ladies and gentlemen, and this is an important concept in change. The what? Developing a traveler's mindset is when everything appears fresh and brand new to you, and you look at opportunities where, because in your usual place where you live, you probably might not be able to spot those things, but when you travel. I lived in London for 4 years and never ever once got the opportunity to go and visit the London Eye until I had relatives visiting, and then I had to take them around and show them around. Thankfully, you know, thankfully to my residents, thank you for coming over, otherwise I would have left the UK without seeing all the touristy places. We take things for granted where we are, is that correct? Right? And when we are outside that comfort zone, we are hyper-aware, we are receptive, and I hope you make the very best of that opportunity here today. So, I hope everybody's also been able to make to the UN building here on time in the morning. You haven't missed anybody behind? Because I had this group of students traveling to Philippines 3 or 4 years ago when I was speaking at that symposium, and we were transiting through Hong Kong, and a group of Indian students, and we were on the same flight, so be careful on your flights back home if you have a speaker on the same flight, because it's going to overhear all the conversations. One of them was like, oh, Mr. Singh, I flew all the way from Delhi just to listen to your presentation. I said, wow, really? Thank you so much. I said, so what are your main takeaways from my presentation here today? Oh, I said, I couldn't make it in the morning, you know, I overslept, and the buses left early. And I said, wow, fantastic. But he said, you know, don't worry, I'm sure it'll be available on YouTube later on. Yeah. And I said, what's the point of traveling then all the way to the location if you... I know technology is going by leaps and bounds, and we have virtual reality and augmented reality and all sorts of attempts to distort reality, yes or no? But you can send a smile emoticon to each other. You all do that. But how about exchanging a real smile? Try that for a change, please. Just look at the person sitting next to you and smile. Try that for a change. I'm pretty sure you don't have an emoticon for this feeling, right? Living in a digital age. I don't know who said this, but hold on. I want to make this an interactive session. This is not a lecture, all right? You ready for an interactive session? I know you guys been here since 8 a.m. in the morning, and you're tired, and you know, it's been a long day for you, right? And for me. But You know, we've all put in a lot of efforts. For 1,000 people in this room, every minute that goes by, it's 1,000 minutes. It's not just 1 minute. That's how I look at it. So I want to squeeze the best value out of every single minute here today. We'll need to set some ground rules, and for that, I'll need your cooperation, right? Do you agree with that? Yes? So I will ask you to talk to each other very often, to exchange messages. I'm a big believer in peer-to-peer learning. That's how we retain information. Dr. Stephen Covey, I think he said it beautifully. The way to remember something forever is to teach it to someone else, is to share it with someone else. So I will ask you to interact with people sitting on your right and left. But I took this risk in the Philippines without setting the ground rules, and what happened, I had to struggle for the next 15 minutes to get people's attention back, right? Because you all love reaching out and talking to each other. So we'll just need to set a simple ground rule here, fellas. So when I just make this signal in the middle of your interaction, I'll just say out loud, can I have your attention back again? I will raise my hand. Would you raise your hand at the same time, please? Let's try this out. Can I have your attention back again, please? Fantastic. And what you will notice as you raise your hand, your jaw will automatically close. All right? Yeah? Is that a deal? Yes? All right, so let's start. Just give a high five to the person sitting next to you. Give them a high five. Say hello. How are you? Both to your left and right. Can I have your attention back again, please? Fantastic. This is just the right kind of audience we need, all right? Now, when you do this high five thing, just do one at a time with the person right and left, or you could end up somebody hitting on, all right? So it's an absolute pleasure to be here today. I hope we can have some fun. I'm just here to play with you, right, to see what something valuable emerges out of it. And this is what brings me back here year after year. What you see on the screen is a screenshot of the notes one of the delegates from China took last year. And we were sitting together in the bus, and he showed me, he said, these are the notes. And this is a language that I do not understand, but it moved me immensely. The fact that I was able to touch someone's life, even just a little bit, and for him to carry away that information, this, ladies and gentlemen, is what brings me back here year after year again. We're living in the age of information and ideas, right? Teach a man to, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Heard that before? Yeah? Teach a man how to fish. You teach him how to feed himself for the rest of his life, right? With young people, I see the opportunity that even if we are able to achieve a 1 or 2 degree shift, how much? I don't hear you. Are you a what? A 1 or 2 degree shift back onto your path, and I'll be a happy man. Do you know when a plane takes off, the pilot, the captain has an intended course of travel. He charts out the route, what he wants to take. Imagine anyone who flew here from JFK, New York, to, let's say, to Dubai, DXB, it'll be about a 14 to 15 hour flight, roughly, yeah? And the captain in charge will have a set flight route he wants to take based on the information, the weather information, and other inputs he has at that point of time, at the time of takeoff, all right? He has a something of a course. But will you agree with me, a lot of changes are going to happen after he takes off? Turbulence, weather, so many other things. And it's not going to be a set path all the way to the end. Now, a question for you. If the captain is just 1 degree off, how much? Just 1 degree off at the beginning, the flight's just taken off. Will it make a big difference at that point of time? A big difference at that point of time, right at that point of time? At that point of time? It will in the future, but not at that point of time. And this is something I want you to understand about change, because change is inner work. Change begins with us. And this is the first thing I want you to understand this. Sometimes you may just be a 1 or 2 degrees off your intended path. And it may not seem at that point of time that it's causing some big damage. But what happens? Let's say another hour has gone by on this captain's journey. Will you agree with me, the 1 degree off, he was off the course, will now grow bigger than before, yes or no? Right? And then the 3rd hour is going to be bigger. By the time the journey, the flight is entering its 15th or 16th hour, and so on with the different phases of your life. By the time it's going to the 15th or 16th hour of the journey, he will not land in Dubai. He will land somewhere else, right? Way far away. Sri Lanka or Colombo or somewhere else. And the same thing with our lives as well, applies to our lives as well. Sometimes we're just 1 or 2 degrees off. And this is what I hope we achieve here today, is a powerful principle that is called course correction. What is it called? Course corrections. Here's what I want you to do. Take a deep breath in, please. Yes, for real, experiential. Take a deep breath in. Inhale. This is not religious, no chanting involved. Just to help you relax and be in the moment, deep breath in once again. Rub both your hands together, please, so I can hear them out loud. Louder. Come on, there's like 1,000 people in this room. Louder, louder. Rub them on your eyes. Shake someone's hand on the right and left. Look them in the eye and tell them, greatness is achieved by course correction. Say it now, please. Greatness is achieved by course correction. Can I have your attention back again, please? Fantastic. Greatness is achieved by course correction. Great lives. Now, here's a lot of research. Professor Carol Dweck at the Stanford University has done a lot of research, published a book, and she's come up with the principle called the growth mindset, right? And what she's talking about is people who achieve something are not born that way. They're not born special. They're not born gifted or born talented. That's a myth. Talent is overrated. It's a myth. It is effort, writes Professor Carol Dweck. It is effort that ignites your real ability. Great lives are made by course correction, continuous course correction, right? And in this changing world, in the corporate world, we have a term we use called the VUCA world. How many of you are familiar with that? We're living in a VUCA world, V-U-C-A, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. That's a term that they use to give us an idea of the changing times, where disruptions are happening everywhere, changes are happening everywhere. VUCA times, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, right? But I don't think it's a big deal right now because we were always living in VUCA times, yes or no? I mean, the maximum, the worst thing that can go wrong right now in an individual's life is you can get fired from your job, right? That's the worst thing that can happen. What could be the worst thing that could go wrong 5,000 years ago when we were hunter-gatherers, or 10,000 years ago? You could die. If you make one wrong move, you die. So still, we were always living in a VUCA world, but things are comparatively much better now. We have to understand change is the name of the game, and it's not a big deal. It's not very difficult for us because we were, can you read it out loud, please, in unison? We were wired to create. Yes, once again, high five with the person sitting next to you. And a little reminder to them, tell them, please, you were wired to create. Say it now, please. I mean, you don't believe me? Look at these guys. This is how we all were, right? Wired to create, paint ourselves and paint the world. And if you want to succeed in this changing economy, if you want to make a difference to the world, the very first thing is to take charge of your life. Once again, deep breath in, please. Put your right hand up in the air and say out loud, I will take charge of my life. Easier said than done, right? I'm reminded of the story where a mother has to struggle with her son every morning, waking her up for school. You know, 6:30 a.m. Son, wake up. It's time to go to school again. Mom, no, I don't want to go. School is horrible. Everybody hates me. The teachers hate me. The students hate me. The peons hate me. Mom, give me one good reason why I should go to school. And the mother's fed up with this every day. So she says, son, you better get up now because I'm going to give you two reasons, not one. Number one, you're 45 years old. Number two, son, you are the principal of the school, so it's time to get up and go and take charge of your responsibilities. Some people refuse to grow up, right? A friend of mine is a clinical psychologist, and you know, I asked her, what happens in your therapy sessions? She said, nothing big, you know, is all my clients have just one response to everything, and that is, it's all my mother's fault. It's all my parents' fault. It's the place where I was born, and it was a school I grew up. And I have to remind them, you're 55 now. That happened 40 years ago, right? Grow up. Things can change, right? It's our remember. So once again, let me just bring this up, which was we're wired to create. Little question for this audience. How high will a tree grow? How high can a tree grow? Once you plant it and you nurture it, whatever's wired into its genetic code, correct? How high can a human being go? Let's try this. Put your right hand up in the air as high as you can. As high as you can. Is this your best? As high as you can. Some people have practice. Yes, fantastic. As high as you can. Very good, very good. Thank you. A round of applause for these disruptors, please. For these change makers, for these leaders, they're not afraid to be embarrassed. They're not afraid of the million consequences of what could go wrong. When you stand up in a chair in a room full of 1,000 people in an auditorium, there's 1,000 things that can go wrong. And it's that risk. It's putting yourself at that risk. It's making yourself vulnerable. That's where change lies. Not in conforming to what it has been in the past. If you continue to do what you've always done, you'll get the same results what you always got, right? And some people say, oh, I went to a motivational talk and I'm going to work harder. But I will still continue to do things the way I've always done them. And you'll continue to get more results of what you had in the past. In order to get new results, common sense says you must try doing new things. I think it was Einstein who said it best. We cannot solve new problems. We cannot solve problems with the same level of thinking that created them. You with me on this? We cannot solve problems with the same level of thinking which gave birth to those problems. In order to solve those problems, we need a new level of thinking, yes or no? And that's where you guys come in. And that's where your desire to create comes in, to disrupt, to improve. Human beings can grow up. It's not written in our genetic code. There's a lot of research that is saying that now. The science of epigenetics is proving that you can even shut down certain genes in your body based on your thinking. That's how powerful your vision is. If you have a vision to achieve something, you can actually change the chemistry of your body. That's how powerful you are. But we don't want to believe that because we've been told, you know, to play the victim and get attention or join what I call the Global Complainers Association. Have you heard of that? The GCA. Oh, they have annual leadership symposiums too. Trust me, they do. And they also pick the biggest complainer of the year award. There are actually, people will say, shut up, you listen to my problem, it's actually bigger than yours. And they have this competition going on. And then what's the old quotation we learned in school? Birds of the same feather flock together. People of the same thinking are naturally attracted to each other. So once you're in the complainers group, you form a WhatsApp group or, you know, then you continue. Human beings have this tendency to back up their claims with proofs, yes or no? Do you agree with that? If you think you know, life is miserable and nothing good is going to happen, you're going to look for that proof every time, right? And therefore, when you meet another person who believes the same, you're like naturally wired to connect to those individuals. So, before I go any further, it's very important, please be careful of the company that you keep. Change makers, leaders, innovators, disruptors, hey, please be careful of the company that you keep. The people with the 6 or 7 people with whom you spend your maximum time with are going to have a huge impact on your vision about life and change and what you can do. So please be careful who you allow up here to access your thoughts. It's very, very important. It's also very important at this point of time that I clarify the difference between what having a vision means. You've heard this term very often in speeches and, you know, written everywhere, have a vision, have a vision. So let's do the simple experiment. Once again, deep breath in. And I just want you to look at the fabulous logo here, the UN logo. Everybody can see that, right? We're all seeing the same thing. Is that a yes? All right, here's what I want you to do. Close your eyes now for 5 seconds. No one's going to steal your phones, don't worry. Close your eyes for 5 seconds and think about yourself 10 years from now. What you would really like to do with your life. Excellent. Take a deep breath in. Open your eyes once again. Now, what you saw this time, everybody saw a different thing. And that's vision, ladies and gentlemen. That's called vision. I think Helen Keller, she said it beautifully when she said, the worst thing in a human being's life is to have eyesight, but not to have vision. We're all blessed with eyesight, the ability to see what is. Vision is your ability to create what does not exist yet. That's where your true power lies as human beings. To change the future, to change the way things are. And it's okay if other people don't understand your vision, all right? This is once again deep breath moment. Hello partner moment, shake someone's hand on your right and left. Remind them it's okay if people don't understand your vision. Say it now, please. Can I have your attention back again, please? Thank you. Where are the Japanese students here? Raise your hands, please, the Japanese students. Do we have Japanese students here in this room? Okay, just a few this time? All right. There's a gentleman from Japan who runs a fund, global fund called SoftBank. He leads a vision fund. It's worth $100 billion right now. He's a leading investor in all the new tech firms. His name is Mr. Masayoshi Son. And SoftBank is the company which is the largest distributor of software in Japan. Now, consider this scenario. His first day, he's an entrepreneur. He has only 2 people in his employment. How many? 2 people. So there's 2 empty cartons of whatever, some shipping has arrived. He gets on top of those and he gives a motivational talk to his team and he says, in 5 years' time from now, we're going to be a $75 million corporation and supplier of the largest software company in Japan. Guess what happened after his pep talk? In the evening, the only 2 employees that he had left. They left his job because they thought their boss has gone crazy, right? We cannot, after all. And will you agree with me, all changes on this planet have been brought about by people who have displayed this sort of crazy behavior, right? It's the crazy ones, the change makers. Mahatma Gandhi, the frail old man who led India's struggle for independence, when he was thrown off that train in South Africa because he was traveling first class. And the ticket collector asked him, show me your ticket, and his first class ticket, and he said, you can't travel first class, you know. And he throws his luggage out, and lying on that station on that evening, he went through 100 different emotions, anger, hatred, rage, so many things. But he learned to channelize his emotions. And that is where he made a commitment that he's going to do something about it. 2 things here, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, learn to channel your anger. Learn to channel your anger. If you feel something about a certain issue, if you feel strongly to change something, do something about it. Number 2, get comfortable with the fact that change begins in small steps. And that's where his journey started. Number 3 are the words of a gentleman that I admire called Tony Robbins, one of the world's leading coaches, who says, decisions change destinies. 3 very powerful words. Not ideas, not symposiums, not discussions. Decisions change destinies. It's when you decide that this is what I'm going to change because I feel personally about it. Okay? We're wired to create, and we have this opportunity to create one of the most powerful things, which is our own lives, right? Take a look at this. Time is one commodity that we all want the most, but we use the worst. So the big question then is, what will you paint on this canvas now that you've been given this opportunity to come forward and do something and to create something of your life? And my message to you is this, very simple. Start with yourself. To talk about change process or making a difference in the world, because the biggest gift you can ever give to the world is what? Is the gift of achieving your own highest potential. Is the gift of becoming you, unapologetically you, originally you, authentically you. That is the biggest gift you can ever give. Not trying to be someone else, not trying to fit in, not trying to conform, but to be yourself. Therefore, change has to begin, as Mahatma Gandhi said, it must start with yourself. Any change process begins with yourself. It's about taking charge of your life. Can we all read this out aloud, please, in unison? Everybody together, deep breath in. Human beings are works in progress who mistakenly believe that they are finished. Fist bump with the person sitting on your right and left, a little fist bump, and remind them, you're a work in progress. Say it now, please. You are a work in progress. Human beings, we are all works in progress. Can I have your attention back again, please? Thank you. We're all works in progress who mistakenly believe that we are finished, that we are done, that my past is the indicator of my future, that my history is a predictor of my future, right? And I think, no, it's your imagination which unleashes, allows you, gives you this ability to rediscover, reinvent yourself. And that's my message here for you today. And I have walked this talk because I felt that 9 years, on a career path which was very satisfying, but it made me who I am, but I felt there is something more. How many of you always have this feeling there is something more I can do with my life? Good. Listen to that voice, please. because that's your actual potential talking to you, and step by step, it will take you there, right? So my whole journey was about, first of all, discovering my manufacturing defects. We all are born with some manufacturing defects, is that correct? Yes. Mine was I could not fit into a 9-to-5 job with a lot of predictable routines. You know, I need challenges, I need new challenges, and that is my manufacturing defect. So if you can't find a job that allows you to live with your defects, please learn to create one. We're living in an economy which allows us to do just that, okay? No jobs for leadership coaches or motivational speakers are ever advertised. There is no manual, there is no guide, there is no step-by-step process. You have to discover this path yourself. Number one, discover your manufacturing defects. Number two, discover your professional DNA. What is number two? Discover your professional DNA. What is your professional DNA? If everything you've learned till date is taken away from you, okay? All your academic skill, everything that you've learned in school and college and university is taken away, everything that you're familiar with is taken away, and you are put into an entirely different setting. What are the few skills you will still bring to this situation? What are the skills you will bring to this situation? That is your professional DNA. For me, it's been, how can I serve? This one sentence defines my professional DNA. How can I serve? 8 years or 9 years working for different hotel companies across the world, I was asking people, how can I serve my customers and my team? One question. I left the industry. As it said, you could take a person out of his profession, you cannot take the profession out of the person. So across different hotels and resorts across the world, in the morning when I get ready for my talks or something, and I wear a black suit or something like that, people still come up to me and ask for directions, or ask me where the breakfast is or what time breakfast is going to finish, and I have to look and check, am I wearing a hotel badge or not, is because it gets wired into you. And my question to you is this: please explore what your strengths are, what you really are good at, and let that be the driving force of a profession that you create for yourself, of a career path that you create for yourself, because your biggest responsibility to the world is to achieve your highest potential. Across the world with young people, we are struggling with depression, negativity, suicide, all these things. People are going off track, right? Youngsters especially. And I feel number one reason is because we are not in touch with our inner power and our capabilities and what we can do and how far we can go. And Google and Alexa and Siri are not going to answer these questions for you. Try it out. I did the other day asking Siri, who I am? Who am I? And gives me, Simerjeet, you're asking me who you are. Yes, Siri, please tell me who am I. It brings me my contact information, along with my photograph and my number, just in case I forgot to remind me, right? And I follow up with another question, but who am I really? And that conversation wouldn't go very far, because that is the conversation you need to have with yourself, right? The GPS is a wonderful invention. It can take you from point A to point B, correct? It cannot tell you where you should go on a given evening. Artificial intelligence has not grown to that level yet, where you step into your car and your car will say, it's been a while since you had a Chinese meal, how about I take you to the nearest Chinese restaurant? We're not there yet. No one can tell you. You must find your own path. The process of exploration, of making a few mistakes. I'm turning 40 next year, and I'm reminded of this quotation by Carl Jung, who famously said, life actually begins at 40. Before that, you're just busy making mistakes, right? Figuring out what to do, what not to do. But remember this, everything that you do not like today, hello? Everything that you do not like today is an indicator of what you do like. So make yourselves available to different options, explore, make mistakes. You still have time on your side, but do not let go of this process of self-examination. I think it was Aristotle who said, an unexamined life is not worth living. An unexamined life is not worth living. So every now and then, do what great people do, and they practice what? Right in the beginning I shared with you, course correction. Every now and then sit with yourself and say, who am I really? What is my real potential? Am I on the right path or not? Am I going off the path? What is that I can do to get back on the path? This is what I want you to do. So from a young hotel management student in Sydney, Australia, where I went for my higher studies in 1999, moving on to the United States and working for the top hotel companies in the world, Marriott, Grand Hyatt, Intercontinental, all of them, to returning back to India in 2007 and starting all over again. And this is a message that I really want you to say to the person next to you with conviction and belief, please. If you don't like how things are, don't be afraid to start all over again. Say it now, please. Don't be afraid to start all over again. Deep breath in, please, once again. I will not be afraid to start all over again. And can I have your attention back again, please? And remember this, ladies and gentlemen, leaving your comfort zone, leaving predictability, leaving a set known path, leaving comfort is going to be the hardest thing to do, right? Comfort is going to be your biggest barrier in terms of rediscovering, because you will settle for the familiar even though you don't like it, because it's familiar and it's predictable. You will not step into the unknown because you don't know how it's going to turn out. Right? Don't be afraid to start all over again. And this is what I decided to do in 2007, preaching the message. You must learn to live your message. So if I talk to youngsters across the world, telling them, don't be stuck in jobs that you hate, discover your passion, create a profession out of it, right? My message would not be effective if I wouldn't have done it myself. Do you agree with that? Yes? You must, in leadership philosophy, there are 3 steps we talk about how leadership should go. Number 1 is know the way. Number 2 is go the way. And then number 3 is show the way. What are the 3 parts? Number 1, know the way. Figure out what you want to do. Number 2 is go the way. Have the courage to follow that path. And number 3 is then pay it back and show it to others. Problem with a lot of youngsters these days is, a lot of people, all of us these days, is we tend to skip step number 2. Now I know the way, so I'm enabled to, in a position to show the way to other people. Now it's very important that you go the way. So I started with schools and colleges and going out to the rural parts of the country, started a YouTube channel to reach out to the masses in my own country. Now I tell a lot of young Indians across the world who have spread out for studies or they're working, they go and experience the world, travel, learn, but come back home, we need your expertise back, because 1.3 billion people are waiting to hear your ideas and for you to contribute back to the economy. I cannot preach that message effectively if I wouldn't have done it myself. Do you agree with that? Yes? So you got to preach, live your message, right? Let your life be your message, and that's very important. And from there to the United Nations ESCAP Center, which was last year. That's been my journey over 11 years as a professional speaker now. But this is what I remembered every step of the way, and I want you to remember that too. What got you here will not get you there. Professor Marshall Goldsmith, world's #1 leadership coach. What got you here today is not sufficient to take you to the next level of growth, whatever you want to do. You will have to reskill, relearn, unlearn at every step. Skills, mindsets, and I've always believed mindsets are more powerful than skill sets. Do you agree with that statement? You can have a certain individual with all the academic ability, expertise, everything, but he doesn't have the right mindset. He's not willing to take initiative or ownership, and he won't go very far, right? So what got you here will not get you there, so remember to rediscover yourself at every step of the way. So from speaking for non-profit organizations like here to working with some of the world's leading corporate houses, and not only in India, but across the world in different geographies, North America and other places, and the Middle East, I'll be hitting version 4.0 early next year. Now, why not? You know, if our iPhones and our softwares have these updates every now and then, why not us? We owe it to ourselves to rediscover, right? And to release new versions. I don't know what it's going to be, but even, hey, Superman is also teaching me this. Our superheroes are teaching us, learn to rediscover yourself. I think he's finally figured out how to wear his uniform properly after all these years. But then I share the same message with youngsters across the world, and I get this one objection which says, Simerjeet, but that's all great, but I'm too confused because there's so many options. We're living in an era of more options than ever before, correct? We are exposed to more information in a single day than our grandparents were exposed to in their entire lifetime. No wonder we are confused. And on top of that, we have WhatsApp, and we have Facebook, and we have so many other distractions. No wonder we are confused, and we are bumping into things and falling over. Absolutely. So technology is great, right? But it can also be a distraction at times. So here's the thing. You really want to discover your core, what you must develop and present to the world, learn to cut down the distractions in your life. The more distractions you have, the more occupied you are. Shopping, consumerism, you know, all these things. The competition on social media to appear picture perfect all the time, right? Who's getting more likes on Instagram? These are traps, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to stay away and know these are traps set up for you to be trapped in them and spend the rest of your life in that hypnotic state. You want to discover yourself really, you have to break that hypnotic state, cut down your distractions, and that's when you really get to discover who you are, right? So, did I share this disclaimer with you at the beginning of this talk that I don't have any answers on the screen, but I do have some questions, right? Because I do believe the answers lie within you. You ready for a few questions? And then I have a peer-to-peer exercise, right? So take a deep breath in once again. And listen carefully. Number one, to help you find your real purpose. Number one, spend time with yourself to figure out what makes you come alive. American theologian Howard Thurman, he said it beautifully when he said, don't ask what the world needs. What did he say? Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Figure out what sort of activity, when you do it, do you lose track of time? You're in what psychologists call a state of flow. Someone else has to come and remind you, hey, you know, it's already been 2 hours. What sort of activities would you do free? What do you get most satisfaction for? You feel yourself, you feel in charge. Spend time on that. Okay, so I'll leave a few questions with you, then we'll have a sharing exercise pretty soon. Number two, how can I serve? If you approach the world with an objective or a mindset, what can I gain? What can I take? Trust me, you're not going to go very far. But if you change this into another question, if you change this question into, how can I serve? How can I add value with my skills? The answer is going to be very different. And I promise you this from my personal experience, the world will roll out a red carpet for you everywhere that you go. If you ask the universe, how can I serve? The universe will ask you back, how can I serve you? That's how it works. There's a deal. There's a conspiracy going out there, right? So ask yourself, how can I serve? How can I add value? It's not only about taking, it's about getting. And then what happens? Money, fame, success, all the things that we're all after, yeah, will happen as the side effects when you least expect them to. They'll be the side effects, all right? I think the gentleman is called Nick Woodman, the founder of Gopro cameras. Folks here are familiar with Gopro cameras. Found it difficult to take a selfie while he was surfing, and created a billion-dollar company out of something that he wanted to change, right? He was an avid surfer and couldn't take selfies of himself. He changed that, right? Founder of IKEA had difficulty putting the table with the legs in his car's boot. He decided to do something about it and gave us folded furniture. Changed the world once again. Jan Koum, the founder of WhatsApp, was from Ukraine, an immigrant in the United States. Found it very expensive to call back his dad home every evening via the normal telephone line. Invented an entirely new platform that we call WhatsApp today, acquired by Facebook later on by $30 billion, right? Mark Zuckerberg himself said, I never set out to make billions. I just enjoyed writing code and invading people's privacy. No, but I just said that on camera, my God. Facebook is definitely not going to be on my client's list anytime soon. But no, hey, what I mean is he also had Psychology 101 along with Computer Science 101 in university, and he figured out human beings have this basic primal desire to figure out what other people are doing with their free time, right? To sneak in voyeurism. He capitalized on that, and he didn't invent smartphones, he didn't invent digital cameras, he didn't invent the World Wide Web, he just connected the dots together. This is what creative people do. When they think with this mindset, what is it? How can I serve, right? You with me so far? Is that a yes? Oh, that's a very weak yes. Is that a yes? Excellent. So the next question is, which I think is more important now, what issues disturb you the most? What inequalities, injustices, what are the wrongs that you would like to change, to set right in this world? What affects you the most? Because, see, change is a messy, long process. You will need that determination to guide you through that difficult process. It's not just going to happen overnight. The follow-up question to this one is, what issues have personally affected me in the past? I'm reminded of a gentleman in India. His name is Anand Kumar, and he was a mathematical wizard, selected to go to Cambridge University, didn't have the money to buy an air ticket, never went to Cambridge, made it his life's mission to empower other poor people in India to be able to go to universities of their choice. So he only takes in 30 students. If you just go onto YouTube and type in Super 30, so he will pick 30 of the brightest kids from the underprivileged backgrounds and teach them personally, mentor them, and some of them are grown up to be businessmen and bureaucrats and whatnot. That's it. So he was personally affected by it. Mahatma Gandhi was personally affected by that thing that became his change, right? And there are a lot of people who've been personally, if you're personally affected by an issue, chances are you will stick with it. You will do what? Stick with it, because otherwise you're going to give up pretty soon because you're expecting results too easy. And the final question I think is very important as well. Once again, deep breath in. Can we all read it out aloud, please? Replacing your with mine. If my time was limited, what would I devote myself to? So, this is the core exercise of my presentation here today. I don't just leave you with ideas. I want to leave you with certain pointers as you leave. I will give you a few minutes to think about these 4 questions. And very soon, I will ask you to find a partner, one of the persons sitting next to you, and exchange the answers to questions number 4 and 5. Sorry, 4 and 5, yes, the last 2. Okay? So very quickly, once again, deep breath in. So find a partner, please, to work with you on this exercise. Find a partner quickly. Quickly. Say hello, partner. Find a partner. Let's do it. Find a partner. Don't start yet. Hello. Can I have your attention back again, please? Can one of the two, so put your hands down. Can one of the two, everybody has a partner to work with, first of all, yes or no? Yes, most of you do. Out of the two, can one of you be person A, please? Quickly raise your hands, person A. Okay, good. Initiative always helps. A, you will go first. B, you will listen first. Guys, B, you have it slightly difficult, but you cannot repeat what A has already said. You have to come up with your own original answers. Be good listeners. I will give you 6 minutes to complete this exercise, 3 minutes each. Listen, please. This thing, hello, can I have your attention, please? This thing changed my life. When I went to a workshop myself, I was a seeker. I believe you all are here. Yes or no? Seekers, seeking answers to lead a better life, to make a difference. 2007, I was a seeker. And I went to a workshop like this, and these 2 questions turned my life around. Number 1, what are you passionate about? Number 2, how can you convert that into a profession full-time, right? Completely changed the whole path of my life. No course correction there, complete reinvention. That is what happened for me in 2007. These are very powerful questions. So I suggest you do this activity sincerely. You be a good listener when the other person is speaking. And when both of you, when one person is done, look them in the eye, shake their hand, and tell them it's possible. Will you do that for me, please? Yes? All right, we got 6 minutes. Turn to your partner, give them a high five, and let's start. Begin. You got 6 minutes. Okay, great. Say thanks to your partner. Give them a high five and say thank you. And can I have your attention back again, please? Thank you. I know 6 minutes was perhaps not enough time, but I do hope you can continue this conversation later on as well with different people. Will you do that? Yes? And before you finish, don't forget to tell them, look them in the eye and tell them it's possible. Because so many times, I think you've forgotten that, so say it now, please. Look them in the eye and tell them it's possible. It's possible. Can I have your attention back again, please? So many times in our lives we've been told you can't do this, you're not good enough, you don't have the skills, you're not old enough, or you're too old now, or you're too young now. There's always something missing, right? Please remember this, hello? The picture will never be perfect. The show must go on despite it anyway, right? It'll never ever be perfect. You will never ever have the perfect resources to do what you want to do. But as you go along, you will find every resource that was missing, right? I know a lot of you were, someone recently said, Simerjeet, you asked me to think big and change the world, but, you know, Elon Musk beat me to it. You know, I wanted to go and build a colony on Mars, and he's getting there first, so what am I supposed to do now? You know, talk about all these big, hairy, audacious goals. They have a term for this called BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. Elon Musk has already stolen mine, and I'd say to folks like that, can you plant a tree every day? Can you just look at one person every day and sincerely smile at them and lift them up emotionally, make them feel better about themselves? Can you do that? If yes, that's a good starting point. Every small action matters. It's called the butterfly effect. You might have seen the video on YouTube. If not, just go type in the butterfly effect, which says even a butterfly fluttering its wings leaves if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. The butterfly effect says even when a butterfly flutters its wings, it leaves a ripple effect throughout the universe, which means no action is too small to not make a difference around you, right? And I actually suggest you to think big, but start small. right? Because a lot of people, they think big, set this big goal, and then they're never able to take the first step. And I'm asking you to chunk it down, break it into small steps, and understand that there is every small step matters. In fact, there is a wonderful Chinese quotation. Any Chinese students here? Raise your hands, please. Students from China. Lao Tzu, the famous philosopher, he said this: the man who moved the mountain started by moving small stones. Yeah, the man who moved the mountain started by moving the small stones. Now here, talk about a global world. In fact, there is a man in India who cut through, who single-handedly devoted 20 years of his life to chisel his way through a mountain, because he was personally affected by that mountain, because his wife died. She could not be taken to hospital in time because the village where he lived and the hospital that she had to go to, this mountain was in the way. And there's a wonderful movie about this guy whose name I forget now, Dashrath Manji his name was, and he spent 20-something years of his life every day, hitting at that mountain and lifting away, moving away small pieces to make way, right? Wonderful Chinese saying which says, the man who moved the mountain started by moving the small stones. Be comfortable with moving the small stones, because that's how you move mountains. Let me introduce you to another wonderful man who's called the Tree Man of India. If you can't be Elon Musk, you can be Jadhav Payang. And what Jadhav Payang was deeply affected by was he lived in an island where a lot of soil erosion was happening because there were not enough trees. So what he decided to do, way back in 1979 something, if I'm not wrong, to plant one sapling every day and then look after it. Not just for the photographs. Now I know a lot of places they do the sapling planting ceremony just for the photo op, and I went to one of these functions recently where I was asked to plant the sapling and water it. We took photographs. Before happening, I heard the conversation where the organizer were asking the deputy, where should we plant the sapling this year? And the deputy answered, the same place where we planted it last year. You could do that, which tells me that a similar ceremony happened last year, but no one looked after the sapling. The power of small steps, 1979, one sapling a day, looking after it. I am happy with great execution and average ideas than having wonderful ideas and no action, right? Ladies and gentlemen, ideas don't implement themselves. We implement ideas without us there to bring them to life. And the same with our lives too. If you have an idea to improve your life, please do put it into practice, because the last thing that you want is this Russian novel I'm reminded of, The Death of Ivan Ilyich, in which this man was stuck his entire life in a job that he hated. And on his deathbed, he was surrounded by his family. He just breathed his last few breaths by saying this question: what if my whole life was wrong? What if my whole life was wrong? You don't ever want to end up into that situation, because you are conscious human beings having the ability to change yourself any given point of time. Action is always greater than ideas, but do remember this: you can't make a difference by sitting on the fence, by being undecided. You'll have to pick something, commit to something, decide something, and it will change and it will grow and it will evolve, and that's okay. As I go to version 4.0, I'm going to work on something new. As you expand, not around the waist, I hope. As you expand, as your vision expands, as your ideas expand, as your skills expand, your expertise, your knowledge expands, your desire to bring about change is going to be of a higher magnitude. You're with me on this? Yes? And so you allow that change to happen. It's not fixed, it's dynamic. Allow it to be dynamic, right? So coming back to this canvas example, what can we change? What can we do? And understand this process of shaping your life and making a difference. 2 or 3 things I leave you with, and then I wanted to give sufficient time for Q&A this time, which I missed last time around. And Q&A is where the fun is, where the interesting, because we can dig deeper into certain concepts that I shared with you, is a few things. Inspiration is good, but you have to understand, from something on your to-do list to actually happen in the real world, it's never going to be a straight line. And I want you to be comfortable with that fact. A lot of people give up because they work with unrealistic expectations, okay? So once again, deep breath in, please. I will release unrealistic expectations on my change journey. Here are a few of them. Number 1, people will ask for, I need the certainty of how this thing will shape out exactly. Ask me, been in public speaking for 11 years, ask me the certainty of how a certain talk or a keynote or a workshop is going to shape out in the period of 90 minutes or so. Never there, okay? The only certainty that you have is uncertainty. You got to live with it. Can we repeat that, please? The only certainty that we have is uncertainty, to be comfortable with uncertainty. So you will never be able to see all the way to the end. People will ask for a step-by-step guide on how to do something. I get emails every day. Could you please guide me on how to be a famous motivational speaker? If there is a book that you find, please share it with me, because I never had it, and I had to explore and make mistakes and find out my own path. Third big unrealistic expectation is, if it worked for this person this way, perhaps I should try the same thing and it'll work for me the same way too. And I'm reminded of the famous Sufi poet Rumi, who said, don't be impressed by the stories that come before you. Learn to unfold your own journey. And those are beautiful words. If something shaped out for someone in a particular way, if you copy that, replicate that, don't expect the same results, because everything changes, right? The next one is going to be a straight line. For something that you put on your to-do list, you create a mission for yourself, it's never going to be a straight line. There's going to be a lot of detours, a lot of issues in between. You might want to give up in the beginning, so therefore it's important that you're personally connected to any change process before you start. I need to see the results immediately. I've often seen people going into the gym and asking the trainer for shortcuts. Is there a way out? And there's advertisements for drugs and things that you can buy, which say no exercise, you don't need to change your diet, and you'll have a body like that. And people buy that stuff because we look for shortcuts. Yes or no? Yes? Once again, deep breath in. Hello, partner. Wake up the person sitting next to you, please. Wake him up. Wake him up, wake him up. And remind them there are no shortcuts to success. Do it now, please. There are no shortcuts to success. There are no shortcuts to success. And here is the, can I have your attention back again, please? One of the biggest unrealistic expectations people have is, I need everyone to understand and appreciate my vision, applaud it and support it. Not going to happen. People are, if your vision is bold enough, initially people will laugh at it. When I decided to undertake this journey of being a motivational speaker, and some of the people that I knew, I thought that actually I want to manufacture speakers, not be a speaker myself. So it's okay if people don't understand your vision, because what you can see when you close your eyes is what they cannot see. It's going to be a different thing every single time. So it'll never be a straight line. Get comfortable with that. Again, a very important thing here. Results will emerge when you least expect them. You got to get comfortable with this. Any results that you're seeking, if you're chasing fame or money or something specific like that, the more you chase it, the further it's going to run away from you. Remember, these are shadows. Fame is a shadow. Money is a shadow. Khalil Gibran, the famous Lebanese-American poet, he said it beautifully. He said, fame is the shadow of passion standing in the light. Some of the most profound words I've ever come across. Fame is the shadow of passion standing in the light. When you discover your passion and you have the courage to present it to the world and to serve the world, the shadow that you will cast will be fame and money and all the other things that you seek. But you can't chase shadows, can you? That's a very futile thing to do, chasing shadows. I heard of this little cat who went to a happiness workshop. Do you know this? We actually need a workshop to be happy these days. So people go to all these happiness workshops. So a little cat was enrolled by the grandfather because it was very miserable. And it was enrolled into the happiness workshop. And the cat came back from the happiness workshop and it's going round in circles, trying to grab its own tail. So the grandfather's curious to see what's happening. He said, what's going on here? He said, grandfather, I went to a 2-day happiness workshop. And in the happiness workshop, they taught me that happiness lies in my tail. And therefore, what I'm trying to do is go around in circles and grab my own tail. And the grandfather intervened and said, honey, they taught you the right thing, but the wrong way to go about it. Happiness is indeed in your tail, but you don't have to go around in circles trying to grab your own tail. You do what you have to do with love and sincerity and joy, and happiness will follow you everywhere that you go. It'll be the essence of what you will leave behind. It'll be the outcome. Is this making sense so far? Yeah, good. So results will emerge when you least expect them. I have a YouTube channel. Majority of the videos are in Hindi because it's intended for an Indian audience at the moment. We will be launching a second version of it shortly for a global audience too, right? A very interesting thing I want to share with you from my personal experience. We did a series of 17, 18 videos. We called it Coach on Campus series. So I went to a local university with a desire to serve and say, hey, get me your best and brightest, 20, 30 students. We do a roundtable discussion, do a live Q&A, we shoot and edit, and we post the videos on YouTube, okay? How many videos did we do? 18. Edited at the same time, uploaded at the same time, but released one per week. Here's the interesting thing. My subscriber base at that point of time, and I've never been after numbers. I always believe they're an outcome if you're doing things right. At that time, but my team keeps me posted, they keep an eye on all that, it was about 100,000. I want you to understand something that I believe in very deeply. It's called the ripple effect. What's it called? Ripple effect. Now, 100,000 subscribers, and the first 10 or so videos that we released would have on an average 8,000, 10,000 views max. Maybe it'll peak up to 20,000, then it'll begin to decline or stay where it is, right? Video number 12, I don't know what was in it. People loved it so much, it was being circulated, went on to trending onto YouTube, 100,000 in 1 week, didn't stop. 200,000, 500,000 by the end of the week. We're touching 1 million now in less than 2 weeks, okay? Now, we didn't anticipate this, but here's my takeaway from this. 2 or 3 things. Ripple effect. With that one video going high up in views, my subscriber, for the first 100,000 in my subscriber base, I had to work 3 or 4 years, right? For the next 100,000, a month. And for the next 100,000, a week. But here's the thing. When we shot those 18 videos, could I predict which is the one which is going to get 1 million views? And if I focus on creating a viral video, will I be able to give my best? Definitely not, because my focus is on the outcome. Focus on the process. That's always within your hands. Leave the outcome to emerge at the time when it's right. Remember this, success, even before it's time, is a dangerous thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you experience great success in your life or fame, and there's been a lot of research done about child prodigies in all different fields, if somebody experiences success in any field before their time, they probably don't know how to handle it or utilize it. So allow success to emerge at its own right time, right? You don't have to worry about that. You focus on the efforts, all right? So results will emerge when you least expect them. And here's the final thing with which I will close our discussion today and leave the floor open for Q&A. But before I go to this one, here's what I want you to do. Do a quick exercise. Let you finish your notes, for some of you who are taking your notes. And once you're done, I want you to find a different partner this time for this activity, not the one that you worked with before. Once you're done, just find a new partner very quickly. Don't get up from your chairs. It will take forever. But just turn around, be a little adventurous. Find a new partner when you're ready. Say hi, reach out. All right, can I have your attention back again, please? Say hello, partner, high five with the partner. Excellent. Here, okay guys, here is the conversation I want you to have now. Partner, the most important thing that I've learned thus far in this session is dash, dash, dash. Now, you won't just say that, will you? This is where you get to do some hard work, fill in the dash, 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 the number one thing. And listen, hello. It doesn't have to be in my words or a concept that I shared with you. If something emerged, this is not about checking your memory. It's about figuring out were you able, did something hit your heart? Are you able to take out something from this presentation or not? This is just, why do I do the deep breath every time? To help you come back into the moment every now and then, because we're distracted, we got so much going on. So, the story is about a conversation between a baby camel and a mother camel, all right? So the baby camel, kids are naturally curious, yes or no? Always asking tons of questions. Mom, I've been thinking about this. Who are we? No Alexa or Siri to answer the question, but Mom's certainly interested, you know. Son, don't you know who we are? We're the ships of the desert, the most powerful creatures in the whole ecosystem in the desert. Don't you know who we are? Really, Mother? Mom, I've been thinking, why do I have these big, broad, ugly feet? Son, it's to help you, you know, put your foot on the sand firmly and go faster and travel faster. And these long eyelashes, they keep annoying me all the time. Son, it's to keep the sand away when the sandstorm arrives. Really, Mother? And this ugly hump that everybody teases me about, you know, what's that for? It's to store water and fat, son. Don't you know who you are? You're the king and the queen of the desert. You're the ship of the desert. You're the most powerful creature around here. Really, Mother? And he goes thinking again. And after a few minutes, another follow-up question. Mom, if everything that you said was true, then what the hell are we doing inside a zoo? What are we doing inside a zoo? Not only animals, but human beings too. We can live in cages of our own creation where we ourselves are allowing to limit our own potential. And this is the number one reason why people are not able to unleash their full potential and make a change in the world is this on the screen right there. Can we read it out aloud, please, together? We overestimate challenges and underestimate our potential. We do it systematically. We've been taught into it. We've been conditioned into it. Conformity, safety, predictability are always given high value, while the world needs more innovators, disruptors, creators, right? Despite having Sophia the robot, you've all seen her, Sophia the robot, and artificial intelligence. One of the airlines that I fly with has introduced a bot program to reply to Twitter queries on their Twitter feed. AI is not that smart yet, so they don't understand sarcasm as yet, right? So a customer went online saying, thank you, Dash Airways, for bringing me to Bangkok and my luggage to Indonesia. Now, this bot has been programmed to just recognize the two words, thank you. Responds automatically, you are very welcome, sir. We are so glad you had a good flight with us. We hope to see you back again, right? So artificial intelligence, is there, it's great. We will see a lot of changes happening, but it doesn't have the answer to all the questions. Remember, Henry David Thoreau, he said this, he predicted this. Men will become the tools of their tools. And this is what we're seeing right now. Technology is a tool. You are the master. Don't let technology be your master. You are the master. Let technology serve you. Let AI, machine learning, algorithms, whatever they are, serve you to create a better world and not the other way around. Let us not become slaves of technology, right? And let us not do this, please. Not overestimate our challenges and underestimate our ability to handle them. The best part about YouTube videos, and it takes a lot of courage to start a YouTube channel, is because all the lovely comments that you sometimes get. But the best discussion on any YouTube video happens in the comment section down below. And the top comment voted on this particular video was, the story of my life. Mark Twain famously said on his deathbed, he said, 99% of the problems that I struggled with in my life, how many? 99% of the issues that I struggled with in my life never actually happened. And I think the same is true for us. We use this wild, creative imagination in the wrong way. Put it to good use to create a better future for yourself. You have everything you need on this journey. We've been taught, conditioned, we've been asked to believe in the fact, I need to acquire this, get this, do that, and then I'll be, no, you don't need anything like that. I think it was Martin Luther King Jr. who said, you don't need perfect grammar, you don't need a university degree, your subject and verb don't have to agree to serve the world. All you need is a heart full of love and a mind full of courage. That's all you need, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you all very much.
So in my leadership role in my local community, just like every other young person here, I'm really excited and passionate, and I really want to create good, positive change. However, being significantly younger than my colleagues, I'm often faced with people who are adverse to change. So I ask you, what advice do you have on dealing with people who are afraid of change?
Great question, great question. Sometimes when we compare certain things, we feel we're in a situation that is way better off than someone else. So I would invite you to come over to India and
yes,
deal with some of the challenges that we have in fighting the old mindset. I wouldn't say fighting. The fight has always been there. It's been there all across the globe, been there everywhere. It's because it's a simple desire, again, predictability and other things. So here, companies always invite me to do sessions on change management. I think I can usually do it in 3 words. I call it deal with it, and there's no other way around. It's natural human tendency to resist new ideas, to resist change, but some of the best progress that is achieved is by welcoming new ideas, different opinions. So don't back down, don't let them overwhelm you. Experience will always try to stifle imagination. It's always been there. In fact, MBTI tests is a psychometric testing, divides people into 2 categories called inventors and guardians. What are they? Inventors and guardians. Numbers of people in terms of the people who've taken the test, the number of guardians are way higher than inventors. So before you step into this game, you have to be aware and accept this fact that I have a new idea, but there's going to be a vast number of people who will resist it just because that's in their very nature to do it. So if it's in their nature to resist the ideas, don't change yourself just to fit in, right? That's called giving up and quitting. So be who you are. You're a change maker. And again, I think they're probably overestimating the impact of change and underestimating their ability to deal with it. If you take it step by step, and if you, for change makers and leaders, I say your ability to convey your ideas, to articulate your ideas is going to be a single biggest gift, because any new idea can be overwhelming before it's fully understood. So if a change maker goes in and tries to pacify people and tries to convey what actually the change involves, because we think the damage is going to be very big, you get buy-in. I won't say leave them out, because they have skills. If you partner experience and imagination, if these two things, if they go hand in hand, they can change the world, because you will need their expertise, their connections, their experience for so many things, and trust me, they will need your new ideas. So I do a lot of community work in where I live as well. I feel the same at times, but work on creating your credibility. I'll finish with that. Once people know where this idea is coming from, who is this person, can I trust him or her? Once you've established some amount of credibility, the process of change will accelerate. I can tell you that from experience. Hope that answers your question.
It does, thank you.
Thank you.
When you finally realized your passion and you listened to that voice within yourself that wanted more, how did you overcome the fear of starting again? And how do you encourage how did you encourage yourself to let go and be willingly to accept the consequences of following your dream of becoming a motivational speaker? Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll take one more, and then you can answer them together.
2 or 3 things. Number one, I didn't just wake up one morning and thought that I'm going to leave my hotel career and become a motivational speaker. That was number one. It was a gradual realization. It was a vague picture. Before you start on any journey to discover yourself, believe me, it's going to be very vague and not clear in the beginning, but as you step forward, it'll become clearer. So for me, it was, and I tell you this, take it step by step. That's my message here. If you turn on your headlights in Coventry, in the night, and you turn on your headlights of your car, would it be realistic for you to see all the way to Manchester? No. So what you will do is you will travel the 10 or 20 feet, and then the next 10 or 20 feet will become visible, and so on and so forth, right? So if your expectation is I want to see all the way clearly to the end, you would never start. And that's what I suggest everybody, to break it down into small steps, radical steps. You know you have to be taken. So leaving the UK, where my last job was number one. Burning the bridges was number 2. I had a Canadian residency. I had to write to them and say, I'm going to move back, so please close the file. So I don't have an option, right, to move back. Leaving my job was number 3. Being an entrepreneur was number 4. Now, being a motivational speaker came way later on. So being an entrepreneur was somewhere there, on my terms, using my skills. It could be in education, it could be anything, but then this thing came up. So, and I'm still exploring, right? I'm still not done. So 2 or 3 things to answer your question. Number 1, take it step by step. And small steps are going to be bold steps. Take those, you move forward. How do you deal with the fear? My answer is replace fear with curiosity. Right? And I know we've been taught curiosity killed the cat, but the cat was framed on wrong charges. Curiosity was framed on wrong charges. I believe it was ignorance who killed the cat. Not the cat was stupid. It was not curiosity. So replace fear with curiosity. What if it goes wrong? I can do something else, right? But don't hold yourself back. That's my answer to your question. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next question.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for your talking. You have told us the meaning of traveling, and you have told us how to succeed by than our professional NDAS. But most people think that we are the best people in our university. At least we hold the positive attitude to change the world. But what about these people who are very poor but are not, who are very positive than us, but they cannot come here just because of the economic limitations. Right. Yeah, it's very common in most countries, especially in China and India, that it's more and more difficult for some people to change their class because of the, because of the economic limitations. Yep. Yeah, you can say it's more it's more difficult for them to get a better life by study harder and get a good job. So
That's where you come in.
yeah, you just how to say? You just told us how we can do and what we should do. But
Great.
what about these people? The most important thing for them is to survive. I want you to give us some advice to solve this problem. Thank you.
Do what you can wherever you are with whatever you have. That's my answer to your question. Do what you can with whatever you have, wherever you are. I don't know, start a YouTube channel helping people with the skills required to succeed in the future. Go back, create a presentation on this presentation, and go back and teach it to kids who don't have access to this information. Get an old computer, an internet connection, and get kids to learn English. In many countries, developing countries across the world, I know this one skill, if they learn to speak English, their chances of getting employment and so many other things multiply. So figure out, there's always a way, there's always a way. There's always a way. But don't just feel empathy and then don't do anything about it. Do something about it, because once you put your mind to it, you will come up with 100 ideas to help them and empower them, right? And I always say, what's better, posting one picture on Instagram about a more equal and just world, or talking to one kid a day and helping him or her do something with his or her life? I think the second option may not get you so many likes on social media, but is a much better option. That's where real change happens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How do we stay strong in a world that seems to almost want to silence us? How do we continue to speak up? Because you echoed through your speech about breaking down those barriers and stepping out of stereotypes and things like that that hold us back. And as a Black African woman who's studying mechanical engineering,
Right.
I know those chains all
whereabouts?
too well. But no one ever... And as millennials, they tell us that we're this microwave generation, that we want everything to happen instantly. And you talked about how we should wait for change, but perhaps the thing is that no one ever taught us how to wait. So how do we continue to stay strong as we wait for the seeds of change that we're planting to actually become fruit?
No, but I'm not suggesting here that we wait for the tree to grow by itself. I'm saying roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, get yourself involved. And also, you talk about the barriers. I think the barriers are already down. And it's up to us now. We're living in a new economy, in a new world. A friend of mine wanted to publish a book 10 years ago, had to wait for some publisher to say, okay, accept his manuscript and then publish it 10 years ago. And now he just hired somebody on, what do you call this, sharing website, hire somebody to be his editor, to convert it into an ebook, and it's already launched on Kindle, right? He doesn't need anyone's permission anymore. You're a musician, you're an artist, you don't need a record label to sponsor you. Just go on to hire a studio for a day, go onto YouTube, put your stuff out there. This new economy, this new brave world that we're living in, the barriers are already down in terms of mobility of people across the world and so many other things, and services and other things. So the problem is we gotta let go of the hangover of the past. That's what we need to change. We have to understand new opportunities are there. We're more connected than ever before. India, for example, I'll give you an example of aviation. One of the places an airport that is close to where I live, 11 years ago had only 2 flights operating on a daily basis. Now it has 20 carriers operating in 11 years period, right? Imagine the ripple effect it's going to have on the economy. But it's down to us how we capitalize on these new opportunities. If we just stay stuck in the past with the hangover of the past, of how things were, we won't be able to catch these new opportunities that are available to us. So all I say is shed the baggage of the past, take a deep breath in, and grab the opportunities, see what happens, where they lead you to. Be a change maker, take that risk of being vulnerable and of failing at times if worse come to that. Elon Musk, the example that I shared with you, wants to go to build a colony on Mars. What we don't know is how many multi-million-dollar failures he had of his vertical landings that they were attempting. So in order to make the goal economically viable, they have to enable rockets to land vertically back. It took them a couple of years and millions of stock market losses in order to do that. Don't be afraid to fail, but keep moving forward anyway. You never know, as they say, which blow of the hammer is going to cut open the rock for you.
I'm from China, majoring in engineering mechanics. In scientific research, we all know that some scientists search for several years, but they do not have some perfect result.
Breakthroughs, right.
Yeah, and in your speech, you told us a story about a man who removed the mountain step by step, and it is a proverb in Chinese. And so my question is, how do you know if your destination is the perfect destination that is very close to success? Thank you very much.
We don't know. We don't know whether it's going to be the right destination. We don't know whether we're going to get there. Listen, guys, if we all had the certainty that if I come up with an idea and I could bring it to life, wouldn't we all be able to do it? Why is then only a small, minuscule percentage of humanity able to start new businesses or make change or do humanitarian work or so many other things? Because we don't know, and this is the uncertainty, talking about research, R&D, and breakthroughs, because we don't know. But the ability to move forward anyway, the exploration, don't let go of your curiosity as a child you had within you, right? So, okay, I heard this scientist yesterday, perfect timing for your question on YouTube yesterday evening, who said, grown-up scientists are little kids who haven't grown up, who haven't yet let go of their curiosity and their desire to explore, right? So if you just hang on to that, and you never know, results will emerge when you least expect them. See, if results would be guaranteed, we'll all be in the game. But the very fact that results are not guaranteed and there are no shortcuts means very few people run this race of excellence, of improvement and change. If you're one of them, if you have the stomach for it, for the uncertainty, for the failure, for the so many other things that are going to happen on the way,